Hello.
We are back, week 17. Wait for more people to jump in. How's everyone doing? How is everyone's weekend? Obviously, as you see, my usual co-host isn't here today, so we have another guest. We don't have a guest. We have the main man, Steve, with me today. this
Um,
is this is Mr. Britball, not this guy.
we're, um, we're live on Instagram again. We're just to let you guys know on Instagram, we're 24 seconds behind you here. So if we're not responding to stuff, that's why. But yeah, hello everyone. My voice is probably a little bit hoarse from yesterday's commentary. Had good fun with Kwame in Bristol.
There wasn't much excitement in that game, was there?
There was in the commentary booth, man. It was funny, man. We were having a good time. A lot of jokes, a lot of funny things flying around. Go back and watch it for entertainment value.
Oh, I will.
It was honestly, man. It was really like the interaction with the commenters and stuff was really good.
To be fair, I do try to watch the streams back when I get the chance to, because it's always something. Yes. So the reason why my main commentator isn't here, he has been arrested by the immigration. So
that's right. Yeah,
he's having some trouble. And they may deport him back to New Zealand. I'm not too sure yet.
So someone's saying dodgy pictures. I heard it was more like cheap labor trafficking, like trafficking people over that work for like less than minimum wage, live in unideal conditions, like hotbed, and he actually organizes that. So,
and he is.
I don't know. We'll see.
So we'll see what happens. He may be back next week. He may jump into the stream tonight. Who knows? We don't actually know right now. So
depends on the quality of his legal defense. You'd think people in that sort of position could afford good lawyers and stuff. So
yeah, that's a very good point.
I don't know. We'll see.
But
it's the end of the season anyway, so it doesn't really matter if he comes back.
It is the end of the season. He can come back next year. But it was week 17. Well, it's week 17, the quarterfinals for Division 1 and Division 2. It was the final week of the Premiership games as well. But we are going to start off with the Division 1 quarterfinals game that was hosted in Rushmore or Farnham, depending on which one you really care about.
No, Farnborough actually, and more specifically, North Camp. You want to be pedantic. I used to live just across the road from here, so I know it very well.
We do have an extra guest to come in and talk about this game. Rushmore beat the South Wales Warriors 34-11. And another person that was there with us was Tom.
Yeah, so you two were both at this game, right? Let me just move myself down. You two were both at this game, right? So, but you weren't. There was no live stream. You weren't filming. You, no. Micah, I assume you were taking pictures.
Always,
yeah. And Tom, I assume you were just criticizing everyone and upsetting people.
We were getting loose, saying everything was rubbish. Always the pessimist.
But you've got a lot of connections, Tom, to this Rushmore side through your Uniball career or your current Uniball coaching position. That's right. Am I right?
Yeah. Coaching over at Surrey, there's a fair link between the two teams.
Yeah, on the playing and coaching side, isn't there? There's a lot of players there. So yeah, that was like, and plus you live in Guildford, so it's close to you. But yeah, so I just wanted to sort of like frame it. I always like to sort of tell everyone any connections and stuff before we start talking, because you're going to get the inevitable. That's a biased comment. He's only saying that because of this.
Yeah.
At least we laid it all out there so people know where people are coming from. But I mean, anyone that knows Tom and Mike, and pretty much everyone that's involved in the sport tank knows that we don't hide our biases if we've got them, and we do get called out on them as well. But yeah. Anyway, over to you guys. How did it go?
It was a very interesting game, I would say. Don't you think, Tom?
Yeah, I think it was. It definitely didn't finish the way it looked like it was going to start. I mean, we were standing there watching the first drive, and they went 3 and out. QB was coming off the sideline, like losing his mind, like about the game ball that they picked. Like, why are we using this one? We can't throw this one. Like, and a bad punt, and it didn't look like they were ready for it. The warm ups on both sides didn't look like.
Very chill.
Are you talking about Rushmore with the opening drive?
Yeah. And I guess it took them a while to get rolling, but eventually they got there, and South Wales just didn't look like they were quite cut out to play with the big boys, in all honesty.
Yeah, so from obviously talking to South Wales before the game started, they did travel down with 32, so they traveled down with a decent sized squad. Apparently, from what I was told, that people didn't book off holidays to obviously be able to play the game because they didn't expect to get that very far themselves. But to be honest, they did put in a good showing for the players that they did have. Yes, Rushmore looked very lax. Before the game even kicked off, it just looked as if they knew that they were going to win. There were a couple shocks in the game that did have us question a lot of things referee-wise as well. I think that obviously Rushmore came out with a victory, but there were some situations where we saw a safety caught the pick, took 3 steps, ran into the end zone, got tackled for a safety, but the ball was put on the 1 for Rushmore.
Yeah, so I spoke to the referee at halftime, got a clarification there. Basically, because he catches the ball inside the 5, he can kind of run back into his end zone and he sort of gets away with it. He doesn't count as a safety. But yeah, they got the spot at like the 2-3 yard line or something like that, and they conceded a safety anyway. And that was probably the best stretch of the game for South Wales. They got the safety, they got the ball back off a bad safety sort of kickoff restarting, and then they were able to get some more points on the board. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was like 13-5 going into halftime. And then Rushmore came out and they did what they've done all season. I mean, with the couple games that we saw together, Steve, it's so consistent where they look all right. They're comfortable, but they're not really they haven't won the game by any means at halftime. And then they're just able to break off these runs because eventually it just wears you down. Like you had Harvey flip the field on a 1-play drive, scored a touchdown. Calvin Stitt got free off a read option, was able to beat a few men, went down the field and scored. Like it's pretty consistent in their game that they're going to have
a dangerous ground game, haven't they?
Yeah,
including the QB. You know, Calvin can scramble with the best of them. He's a proper athlete, and I think where he's a left-handed QB, he's very tough to play against. It's always tough to play against a left-handed QB, but he's of a good quality, right? So he's a dual threat, left-handed, athletic QB. He's a tough opponent to come up against.
And he is good, I have to admit. But I do think there were obviously the start of the game, the temperament at the start of the game was a bit. I was just like, the game's just started. How are you angry already? What? I was like, I'm confused. Like it hasn't, nothing's gone on. But their run game was just too strong for South Wales. South Wales probably just didn't have the numbers to be able to manage that rushing load that they had on them. It was just probably got too much.
And then they were lacking size in the secondary as well. Like I think the thing with Rushmore is if you can keep them inside the box, you've got a good chance of being able to keep yourself in the game and give yourself chances to try and win. But if you're going to let their athletes outside the box, they've got such good ball carriers. They've got good receivers as well with the ball in their hands. That if you can't tackle consistently in your back 7, then it's going to be a difficult day for you. And that's what we saw with their scores. It was literally just they got outside the box at one point, and now you've got safeties and corners trying to bring down these awesome players. And eventually you just can't live like that. And I think if South Wales had their full squad, maybe they could do something different. But it's worth noting as well, Rushmore didn't have their full squad. They, I would say their best receiver was missing. So Trav was missing, Trav Carpenter.
I'd say Godfrey's their best receiver anyway, but yeah.
Well, I think it was noticeable his absence because I don't really remember them having any sort of particularly remarkable pass game completions.
There was one. There was one in the second half, but that was pretty much it. There wasn't anything. There wasn't really any deep balls, and it was mainly run game half the time.
And it was a switch up to what we've normally seen from them because we've seen them have a really good offensive attack that's been quite balanced, I would say. Like last year, they were definitely quite run heavy, I would say. And this year, they've been a lot more balanced. They've got really good playmakers in the pass game, but they didn't really need it in this game, to be honest. Like putting the ball in the air was just creating more risk for them.
And
was Aaron Sequala playing?
Yes, yeah, he did.
I mean, you got him and Harvey. I know they've got more running backs as well, like that.
But the 1-2.
unbelievable. Like I think Harvey's he's very young. I think he's only just turned 22 this week. I can see him being a GB running back one day. Like he's that good. He's solid. Such a good running back. Such a lovely guy as well. But,
and really good vision as well. Like I think Rushmore keep it quite simple in the run game. Like they're not going to do anything too complicated. Yeah, they're not going to mix things up. But I guess he's got so comfortable with that. He knows exactly what he's looking at. He's able to find the hole on pretty much every play. And we've seen him break off so many long scores. I'm sure Wembley are definitely going to be scratching their heads, sort of working out how to figure it out. But I guess
they played him twice already. So, but Sequala did get the first touchdown of the game as well. After a great QB rush, to be fair, although it was sort of unplanned. Tried to dive. He did try to dive for the end zone. Obviously, he did step out at like the 5-yard line. But he generally thought that he did get in. But obviously, run game they just pushed it in. It was it was an easy masterclass in the heat to just keep the ball running. So, congratulations! I do have to say congratulations to Rushmore. Anyway, even though I didn't peg them to make it to the finals, I have to eat my words in this one because
of the start of the season they'll go undefeated this year.
I didn't think so, but again,
I know. No one believes me. No one listens to me around here.
In my head, but the thing is, now looking at it, the Division 1 Central in the South is apparently the best division. Because
I think that's been the case for a number of years, even when the Cheetahs were in that division as well. That's always been a really, really competitive division. The London O's were in it, and now they're East for some reason. They get moved around, but that's always been a really highly contested division. So it's I mean, although you could say you got the West is pretty good because South Wales beat the London Olympians, right? And I know, the O's are in the East, but I found that to be, a shock result to me. I thought the O's were going to win that, having seen them so many times this year. And admittedly, I hadn't done any of the South Wales games, but
so funny enough, you mentioned that. From what I was told about that game, I was told that as soon as they got off the coach, balaclavas were on and they started shit talking from the get-go.
What, the O's?
Yeah, they started shit talking from the get-go. From what I was told on Sunday, as soon as they said hello to Rick, some of the players said hello to Coach Rick, and then the players balaclavas on, shit talking from the get-go.
What, the O's players put balaclavas on?
The O's players had balaclavas on.
I never heard that.
This is what I was told yesterday. I was just like, right, because that makes a lot of fair enough. You do.
Yeah, I've never heard of anything like that. That's a bit odd. It didn't work for them, right?
Nope, it did not.
End up losing.
So.
I don't know. Obviously, an intimidation attempt gone wrong, or unsuccessful intimidation attempt, I suppose.
Big time.
And in fairness, I think it's going to be tough to intimidate South Wales. They turn up and, they've got a bunch of coaches that are there on the field with the guys in pads. They know that they're the scrappy underdog in almost every game they're playing. It's going to be hard to intimidate them because they've already gone through so many hurdles to just be here right now. What are they going to be scared of on the field?
Yeah. Odd. But yeah. So, what do you guys think of? I know this is sort of probably later part of the show normally, but Tom, with you here, what do you think of the next fixture in 2 weeks?
I was super high on Wembley when I saw them playing against Rushmore. That was a 1-score game, and I think Rushmore feel very confident, and I think they have every reason to feel confident in that camp, right? They've won every game. A lot of them they've done comfortably. They played one playoff game and beat who people were calling potentially the best defense in the Div 1 South, and they beat them comfortably. Why would you have any doubt as a player or coach with Rushmore, right? But I think Wembley have proven that they're battle tested through these 2 fixtures. They went and played the Apache, who obviously they've got a big squad, they've got lots of players, they're well drilled, and they managed to beat them on the road. That's a good win. They then went and played against East Kent. Now, I think East Kent were missing a number of players. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it was sort of similar reasons of just booking holiday. I'm not sure why those players weren't there. Obviously, they lost a couple of really talented players to being recruited to go and play in better leagues, essentially, for the rest of this summer. But then they managed to gain a couple of players as well. And from what it sounds like a very close game. I heard that it was the worst refereeing performance somebody has seen, in which East Kent were not getting the same flags that Wembley was getting, to the point where like even the head coach for East Kent, like speaking to one of the referees, and he was like, "So you'd call that a foul, yeah?" And he said yes, and then he didn't throw the flag. Like, obviously that doesn't make up for everything. I still think East Kent were probably the strongest team in Div 1 this year. I think every team can just slip up, but I don't think that necessarily means that they weren't the best. I still think they were pretty comprehensively dominant compared to other teams. But I think that people need to be worried about this Wembley side. I think they've got a really nice offense. I think what they do is good. I think you give that offense 2 weeks to game plan, they're going to come out with something different. They're going to come out with something deliberate. I don't think you can say the same about Rushmore. I didn't see them do anything different in this game. I don't think they're going to do anything different in the next game. And I think if you're a smart team, you can find ways to beat them on both sides of the ball. Wembley are obviously going to be up for it. They know that this is the third time they played them. They obviously conceded by a couple of scores the last time they played. And Rushmore are going to be very confident. I think it's going to be a 1-score game. And I don't know which way it would go, but I would not be surprised if Wembley came out and looked pretty comprehensive against Rushmore.
Just to confirm, we are going to be live streaming that game, and you and I, Tom, will probably be the commentators.
So we're getting a police escort to the gazebo, right?
Nah, that's all right. I'm double hard, mate. Don't worry about it.
So
I'll stick a nut on anyone.
Oh god. I'm not gonna let you get away with that one. Who's gonna win? He's gonna get promoted because this is the promotion game.
Okay, how about I come out with a cop-out take and I say that neither of them will survive the Prem unless they.
That's different. That's a different matter altogether.
That is.
That's the thing. Is like I almost think that like do you want to win this game, because both sides have got a hell of an off season against them just to stick around in the Premiership if they do go up. And I don't think Nottingham's going to be a fun trip either. But screw it, why not? Let's put down Wembley and let's just have everybody mad at me in group chats for the next 2 weeks.
Good. Yeah, it'll be good. One of us going for one team. I'm back in the night.
Well, I've got to ditch the bias, so you know
yeah. Just a quick one here. Martin said Wembley are no joke. You can see how well drilled they are and how they prepare themselves pre-game. ABs?
Not sure.
How they manage themselves during the game. Both great squads. Should be a good game, yeah. And then someone's come and told. I literally just had this confirmed before we started, but we're going to be live streaming Samwell Surge. We would have done the other Div 1 game, but it's at Nottingham at home, and they do their own live stream. So we're doing the other North Div 2 game.
It's
meant to say, okay, cool. I think it's Rush. Rush is saying he thinks it's Rushmore's turn to go up. We'll see.
Well,
like I said, I think they're going to have an undefeated season. So
fair enough.
I can see it.
It's tough to beat a team 3 times. Yeah, I'm just saying it's tough.
And it's been done before. I done it at the Knights actually against the Ipswich Cardinals when we won the Div 1 Championship, undefeated. Ipswich were the finals, and that was when they had loads of Yanks. They were really good. I think we won 47-7, something like that, in the final at Don Valley Stadium, and we had the Sky cameras like filming it and doing the highlights and stuff, and it was played at the NFL coverage at half time. Like 12 minutes of our game, 12 minutes of footage, like all mashed together. So that was cool. obviously that's all gone now because Neil Reynolds no longer is getting his wheels greased by Bathurst. We can't get favourable treatment.
We are not going to go there.
I don't give a fuck.
Well,
I think it was money well spent, mate. Look at the exposure it got us. But anyway, whatever.
I'm already getting messages, and I do want to make it clear. I can very much see a world in which Rushmore does win this.
Oh, don't do this. Go away, Tom.
Don't do that. Don't back out.
Just shut up.
I'm not backing out.
Oh, that is you saying, making that statement is you backing out of what you just said.
In your statements.
I like to be more measured. I like to have more. I don't like to do hot takes going.
You can't. You're not allowed.
That's my jam, you know.
No, the only person that can be measured on this show is me. Okay, I'm the only one that can be measured on this show. You gotta be sticking to your guns. I'm the only one that can keep everything steady and flowing. Now, but
Sean's read is an interesting thing about Surge v Samo. It's their fourth meeting. Samo are currently 2-1, so that's going to be an interesting one. Glad we're bringing that one.
How did they get 4 meetings in a season?
Sorry,
how did they get 4?
They had a team drop out.
So I think there's 4 teams in that division, so they have to play each other. 2 teams will play each other 3 times in the year. So it's one of those ones. But seeing as we are speaking about the promotion game, as you obviously know, Wembley Stallions beat their favourites. Beat the number 1 seeded East Kent Mavericks 24-21. I'm not gonna lie, that was a shock. That was a shock to me when I saw it.
Yeah, well, I saw the score updates, and the Stallions. You know, it wasn't like the Stallions came back.
They were leading.
They led. Yeah. They were 2 scores up, and then in the third quarter, the score was then evened, and then Wembley pulled ahead again, and then a little bit again, and then
that field goal.
So not once did the Mavericks
take control. No, that field goals are always hey.
And that's stunning because I think the experience with the Mavs, I think you see them. I think if they're down, in my mind, I'm like, if they're down a score at halftime, they'll probably be able to find a way to come back and take it from there. Like when we played them with Kent, like I wouldn't say they were fast starters.
Oh, that's right. You guys almost beat them, didn't you? I remember that your last game of the season. Is that right?
They almost did. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and and I think Rushmore did come to scout that game, and I think they came away feeling very confident. I think that might have undersold the work that it sort of took to be in that game, but they definitely weren't like, you know, I think like you look at what they did last year to Div 2, like obviously it's not been anywhere near the same for them this year. They've obviously won all their games, but you know, as we sort of seen the Southeast and how they've sort of traveled and played, we kind of seen that maybe, you know,
it wasn't as convincing as I thought it was going to be all year. I thought it was going to be convincing wins, like they were going to win by a score or 2, but most of the games have been really, really close, like 6 points, 4 points, a field goal.
The 1 point game against Olympians now, looking back at it, like that should have been a major red flag in terms of sort of how we were looking at them. And I can see how they were able to get beaten by Wembley. Like Wembley are a creative side on offense, I think. And apparently they were doing it on the ground for a lot of it. And, you know, if they're going to be down bodies, it's going to be tough for them to, you know, because I think their box and their D-line was quite a decent strength for them. And, you know, if they're missing bodies from there potentially, then that's obviously going to make a big difference. And I think if they are able to run the ball on East Kent, I don't see any reason that Wembley wouldn't be able to run the ball on Rushmore, to be honest. Because I wouldn't say their D-line is necessarily... Like, they've got some really nice pieces on the D-line, but I think there's probably some weaknesses that they can find if they're going to go through 2 games of scout film.
And they've got the previous games that they've played already. So, like, they should have some sort of idea of how they're going to want to attack Rushmore. Again, like, so I'm just looking at the scores of the last game. The second game wasn't great. It was 16-29 to Rushmore, but the first game was 35-28, and that was the first game that we streamed for the season.
That's right. Yeah, we live streamed it. Yeah.
So again, if it turns out to be one of those games, Wembley could potentially be facing Nottingham in the final, which
It absolutely can go either way for this game. Absolutely, I'm just calling the night. Like to answer the question, I believe the Knights will win. But like Wembley, Wembley, as people have said in the comments, like Wembley are no joke. They're a decent side. They got depth as well. Do you remember, Tom, how many people they had on that sideline? I'm sure a few of them would have dropped away by now, but they're good numbers. So that means they got good competition for hopefully all positions, right? So it's not a coincidence that they're here in the semi-final.
And you can argue that this is the first real game that Rushmore have played since that first matchup they went up against. I think Wembley took. You could say that Wembley took a little bit of a dip, midway through their season, and they needed to pick themselves back up. And I would argue that Rushmore haven't had a difficult game since then. Difficult's unfair. Obviously, they've got to put effort in to win those games, but they haven't. They haven't been pushed. They haven't been forced to go score for score with anybody.
Well, if they've got a QB that comes off the field throwing his toys out the pram after a single drive, there's a weakness to exploit there potentially, right? The discourse. So if Wembley can get early points in and get under the skin of the Knights, it's absolutely possible. Like I'm not like don't take my I don't know my backing of the Knights or my prediction of the Knights winning as like I think the other team's crap. I think it's going to be a brilliant game. I'm so pleased we're live streaming it. It honestly, it could go either way.
And what you outlined is completely correct, where the way that Rushmore will win is by getting points on the board early, getting comfortable, and just being able to keep them at arm's length. Yeah. I think if
they'd like to get into a situation where, because they'll get maybe 2 scores up and then just trade scores with a team. That's what we've seen when we've live streamed the Knights this year. It's like they get a little buffer and then just maintain that buffer for the rest of the game. They lose that buffer. If they don't get that buffer, then
they did that against South Wales. They did that against South Wales. There was a lot of mental errors that was going on with the players in that game. Yesterday, it's what was it, like 3rd and like 10, and a player hits the QB after the ball's gone. It was just like, what are you doing? You saw the ball. You saw the ball leave his hands. Why are you hitting him? And first then, and I believe they went on to score. I don't think it was that drive, but they still, again, the simple mistakes that they made, it was confusing. And
I think that's you. Those are the things that you iron out by having that difficult run, right? Like Wembley aren't likely to commit those mistakes because through this they've been underdogs. They know the value of making every play count, doing things on specials, not making those egregious mistakes. Like from what I've heard, they might have got away with quite a few penalties at the weekend. So maybe a different refereeing crew.
Maybe they're just crap, and the refs just helps them. We don't mean that. Obviously, we know they're good. But it's. I think it's an interesting point. That they can weather a bit of adversity, a bit of a storm, and it won't wobble them. But what we've seen from what you guys saw and what you've explained from the Knights, they could implode a little bit if the pattern of play doesn't go how they want it to, or how it has all season for them. So good stuff. I can't wait. I'm looking forward.
And who would have thought? Well, I didn't think this. Who would have thought that Rushmore Knights will be hosting the promotion game against Wembley Stallions? I did not see it coming. But my reasons why I have such a gripe on the Stallions is that they had such a big squad and struggled against teams that didn't have numbers, which was confusing to me. So against London Hornets, it was only 13-8.
Yeah.
Against London Hornets the second time, it wasn't a big score either. And then Oxford, who got thumped 50 points every game by everybody else, they didn't even score 50 on them. So to me, it was like I didn't see anything that would give me confidence in that they could do it. But now, going both games away, well, all 3 games will be away now.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't see why they couldn't do it, but then unfortunately, either one of these teams will have to face the juggernaut that is up north.
They give the vibe that they play to their competition, right? Like I think back, like you think about like Liverpool teams who like at one point where like they can play the best teams in the league and they can go and take points from them, but they'll play teams at the bottom and they can't put the ball in the back of the net. So like they play against these worst teams and they're like, we don't need to do much, we ain't doing too much. But then they go and play these bigger teams, these better teams, and they raise their game to it, which definitely lends itself to a really good game in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah. Well, seeing as we've finished with the South, let's travel up to the North.
Div 1. But Tom, do you want to stay on or drop off? It's up to you, mate.
Up to you.
I mean, all I'm going to say is that the North is clearly a one-team division. And I mean, I've been scoreboard watching the same as you guys. And like the fact that a team can win by 50 and then lose by 50 the next week is just like the class difference between these teams is crazy. Like Nottingham may as well have just started up a division this year. Like it's, but I'm excited to see that final though. I'll be up there. So anybody wants to come and say hi while I can give you a couple lines and criticize your team for you if you like.
Yeah,
I'll make that my sort of cameo gimmick.
Tell you what's wrong with your team. Yeah,
exactly.
Oh man, but
appreciate you having me on, gents, and hopefully everybody now sees why I'm normally behind a commentary mic instead of in front of a camera.
No, it's all good, Tom, and obviously we'll catch up soon, but and see each other in 2 weeks for this this night's game. But cheers, mate.
Cheers. Thank you. So,
where do you normally start? Top or bottom, or like are we carrying on with the playoffs? Are we?
We'll carry on with the playoffs. We might as well, and then we'll go into the predictions for the next round in 2 weeks. We're going with the Yorkshire Rams beat the Glasgow Tigers 23-10.
Yeah.
I'm not that surprised. The
only reason the Rams were the away team here is because of the
controversy at
the player that was unregistered they played and got penalised for.
Yeah.
So, like, otherwise they would have been a home team in this fixture. It may not have been against the Tigers, whatever, but they were the favourites, right?
Yorkshire got the easy way, but they will have to face the juggernauts anyway. So if the controversy didn't happen,
you got to stop calling them the juggernauts. People will think that's the team name.
Yorkshire Rams. Sorry, Yorkshire Rams.
I mean the juggernauts.
Oh, everyone knows who it is. It's Nottingham Caesars. Yorkshire Rams would have played Caesars yesterday.
Yes.
So
the quarterfinal game.
Yeah, they got away with it, but they're gonna have to play them in 2 weeks' time.
You got to beat everyone to come out on top, right? So
But again, Yorkshire Rams, they came out fighting for the last couple of games of the season. Obviously, we now know why they were fighting very strong and very, very stout. They had unregistered players, which I guess it is.
What do you think? I don't know. I don't think.
I don't think that's the reason. I don't think that's the reason.
No, and I don't know. People can always debate whether it was malicious, or, intentful, or whatever. I don't think that we're even here to try and talk about that, right? Like, I don't really care. I think it was handled correctly by the league. They're still allowed to be in the playoffs. They got penalised, it affected their seeding. No harm, no foul.
And now they get to play for the chance.
It would have been a massive shame, and I think probably the wrong call for them to be left out of the playoffs this year.
That is true. But
quite a quality of team that they are, right? So,
But now,
I think you're sleeping on them a little bit here with how much your juggernaut comment on the Caesars. Do you not think they're capable of giving the Caesars a game?
No.
Really?
No one in Division 1 are good enough to give the Caesars a game. I'm going to be 100% honest. Now,
so you think they're going to win the final as well?
They should win the finals as well.
Come on.
They are more likely going to win it, regardless.
You sound like Pinocchio on Shrek. He's like, well, they could possibly do that.
All right, forget it. They will win it anyway. I predicted it from the beginning of the season anyway, that Nottingham were going to be the best team in Division 1 regardless.
I'm pleased to see them, and they're like the next powerhouse in the North edition. They're not going to be a yo-yo team. They're going to go up, stay up. That Nottingham's got this great catchment now where you've got, it's becoming like another little hub of American football. Manchester's definitely one. Bristol, obviously London, and now Nottingham, because because of how many teams are in that area. Obviously, it gets used for. There's good uni ball. It gets used for the facilities at Nottingham
GB
for
as well,
GB as
so
well. Like it's like a
it's a great.
there's like a flag in the ground of Nottingham, right? Like that's like for me, it's an upcoming place. So it's great to see that the senior team there is going to do well.
We have not spoken about Prem yet. We are talking about the Division 1 quarterfinals at the moment. But obviously, Yorkshire Rams, we expect them to win it. But on the other side, in the other quarterfinals, Nottingham Caesars beat Scunthorpe Alphas 45-6. So I got the offense. I watched the highlights of the game because I always get tagged in it. So I watched it and scary stuff.
I haven't seen anything.
It's very scary stuff. So offensively, Caesar.
I knew someone would pick me up on that. Sorry, Freddie. Thank you.
Offensively, Caesars had 40 plays on offense, 356 yards, 5 touchdowns, and they had 1 interception. They were 35-0 up before Scunthorpe got their only score.
And that should have, because if I remember this rule correctly now, just because you score when you're 35 points down doesn't mean the running clock stops.
You have to get up to like 21.
Yeah, it's like you have to close the gap to 21, but that's that's only in the second half. So
if it happened in the first half, then
it doesn't matter because there's no running clock in the first half.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I said it on the live stream yesterday. I was like, that's the worst rule second worst rule in the whole of Britball.
I don't like the mercy rule.
It's crap.
I've said it. I don't like the mercy rule because it's just a cop out.
Yeah, it's crap, especially in playoffs and especially at the Prem level in the sport.
I
shouldn't
feel
be having it.
It shouldn't be there because I feel that
it's fucking shit. It doesn't help developing players. It kills the game. Like I said this on the live stream yesterday. If you watch the live stream from when the Aztecs went 35 points up, the game was dead. The ball stayed in midfield. There was just turnover on downs. The ball travelled 15, 20 yards at any given, for the rest of the game, like within the same slot. And I just kept saying on the commentary, like this has completely killed the game.
Yeah.
Because now they're trying to rush it, their backups on, and it's just shit. It's just shit.
It got to a point
anyway. I'll go off about it again, but I think it's a terrible rule. It's a cop out. You had a game in the ELF yesterday that was 90-0, right?
Well, you can't.
So it happens. It happens at all levels, right? You do get teams that are much better than others, and they spank them. So
what? So it's you got to play. Everyone's got to learn how to play, and these are the tough things that make people.
It was good on days like yesterday, and I sweat my teeth. Yeah, my God.
No, Aaron. Oz doesn't miss beat. It's not chaos. We had a guest on for the first 2 games of the South. So that's what.
It was the guest that ruined it.
So we had a guest. So we are going into Division 2 quarterfinals because we're going to finish off with obviously the best division in England, and then we'll go into the semi-finals because it's a shorter episode, and then we'll go up. So Division 2, we had Colchester Gladiators doing what they do as they do, 41, and Berkshire Renegades 0.
Yeah. I know one of the Berkshire Renegades players, and I spoke to him about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, we got Colchester, we got no chance."
Damn. So they really carried
they knew, right? So I don't know, not surprised. Yeah, cool.
Not surprised at all. And then the second game in that division,
I think the Renegades were probably shocked that they got into the playoffs.
True, because the other division was just really bad. So it is 2 different ways. Sussex Thunder 0, Essex Trident 9. Now, I thought I owed someone an apology, but I didn't because I didn't talk bad about Essex Trident. So that I feel very proud of and pleased that I don't have to do that anymore. But they are through, and I can't remember if they played. Did they play them twice already? And did they win both games?
I don't know if they played before, but I saw.
I did say if they did beat the Sussex Thunder again. So I guess some teams can beat teams 3 times in a row.
Yeah, you can. It's possible. It's
Hey,
it's the most likely that one of the team that's been beat twice will win the third one. Like, you know,
exactly. That's what is meant. That's what's supposed to happen. But
yeah.
Essex Tridents, I do have to admit, you beat Sussex Thunder 3 times. I don't know if they were really good or.
Well, I saw the Sussex Thunder quarterback had a really nasty
injury,
collarbone break, like a proper. I broke my collarbone, and it was just like bent like that. This is fucking like this. The fucking X-ray, man. He shared it. Ollie de Ruyter, a former teammate of mine, and yeah, awful. So like, so they certainly had one injury that they picked up in that game, and it's a demoralising one.
Yeah.
But you know, brilliant for Essex. A great story because of the whole. I know you guys have talked about it a lot this year.
Combination.
Combining teams, meaning that one had to drop down anyway. But now that you know, but they've worked hard this year and working their way up. I don't know that they get a promotion. I don't think they do. I don't know how it works.
I know two. I think two might go up because obviously two are going.
Just like to be straight into the playoffs and into a semi-final, get to a semi-final. You know, first time of asking as an organisation.
Yeah,
but you know, congrats to them.
We've
got loads of comments coming. I just want to see if I don't want to miss anything.
Imagine Colchester joined Essex Tridents to make a Super Essex team. That's funny, but again, unfortunately, yes, Essex Tridents are gonna have to play Colchester again. I think Colchester has beaten them 3 times already. First game was close. It was 13-12, and then the second game was 23-15. So. Yeah, and again, look, Essex Tridents have got the right support. They're doing it the right way. They're another team that have combined and they're doing everything the right way. It's just like who came up last year? Shropshire Revolutions. They went up last year. They got close to the play. They got to the playoffs this year as well. Yes, they got knocked out in the wildcard game, but they've done what they've been able to do again.
The Essex Dominators, yeah, that would be awesome.
So it's a good shout. Again, if they both get promoted, that is great for both teams.
Yeah,
I don't know if they do.
We should really know this information. But yeah, I've got a feeling they do. But I could easily be wrong. I
do know two teams are getting relegated from Division 1 from the south anyway. So it's possible that they both do go up. But I do feel that it'll be a tough game for both sides. But with Colchester being probably the favourites to win.
Yeah. I would. The Essex only ways.
So
the Essex boys, that'd be quality with a little Range Rover as their decal. But yeah, I think this next game for them against Colchester, I believe that they'll lose it. And I don't. There's no disrespect. They've done awesome. You know, great season, fantastic. You know, one of the jewels in the crown of Britball in terms of the 2024 season. It's a great story, and you guys have got a lot to be proud of. But I believe that Colchester will win that game.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, if Essex won, I would love it.
And then we're going to move on to the north. So Staffordshire. Okay, hold on. I need to compose myself a bit more here. Staffordshire Surge. 45.
Yeah.
Darlington Steam. 14.
Yeah, and I saw in the predictions there were a couple. I think was it 2 of you guys?
Me and Oz split. So Oz wanted to be. He was shaky. He wasn't too sure on this game on who to pick between the two. So obviously I went with Darlington and he went with Staffordshire because he was like, "Fuck it, let's just split it."
Right.
And he split well. He got it out. Hey, okay. Darlington's team were running roughshod over everybody in their division.
Yeah.
And they met a team that just told them no.
I caught a bit of the game because they live streamed it, and I think I saw the first score that John Wise, the illustrious, never aging John Wise, in it. He was like in it, Wildcat QB, and he like snuck around, and then they ended up going up the middle two on the second attempt. He got in. I was just like, oh my god, that guy is unreal. You know, like, he is, isn't he? He's just quality. I love
he shouldn't. How is he still dominating players?
Mate, I can remember playing against him in 2006, my first year in Britball, and then I played with him. I think the next year and the year after for the Knights, and even then he was considered an older player, right? Like now he's like 50, and he's still laying people out and scoring TDs, and you know,
it's just stupid.
Just awesome
But
guy.
Surge came in and they've done fantastic. But the other game in the Division 1-2 quarterfinals, Samuel Steelers 57, Gateshead Senators 0.
Yeah, that's a surprise. That's a surprise.
I thought at least they'd put on a score. Samuel at a different level on Sunday. Okay. So Samuel, again, they did drop down twice, I believe. Or they were in the Prem, got relegated to Division 1, then got relegated again to Division 2, and they have definitely shown out for sure. Mm-hmm. Big shock. But if the Gateshead situation is still going on from when Oz went to go watch them, and he said that their defense was disarray, and
Gateshead can't put it together for any longer than like half a season, or you know, maybe even just over half a season as an organization, and they used to be such a dominant force in the game. I'm really, like, they're a team that I really want them to do well, and they've got the potential. They've got great. Well, I don't know if they got the same facilities when I played them, I don't know, years ago. But they got great facilities. They've got great catchment, and you know, they just seem to like this season. They've pulled together some really good results. They've got this far. They got to the playoffs, and then got fucking goose egged, right? Like, just like you wouldn't have called it, right? Like, and 50 burgered, right? What was the final score?
57-0.
Like,
what?
You just wouldn't have expected that from them this season with their performances. It's just like something hasn't gone right.
Any playoff team, you don't expect 50 points to get scored on. No. You don't expect it, especially when they were doing well. They were doing well in the regular season. But
bit of love for John Wise in the comments here.
But yeah, that is the quarterfinals that happened on the weekend. We do have the Prem. The Prem did have 4 games this weekend. And we had a shocker in the north. East Kilbride 36, Tamworth Phoenix 12.
Is that a shocker? I think if that fixture was mid-season, it's a different result. But this is end of season. You know, there's nothing to gain from that game.
True.
I imagine if you asked Tamworth, they're like, we didn't have a full-side squad. We had players injured. We had players that had other plans, or you know, couldn't travel or whatever. Not me to EKP.
Yeah, you're probably
the
right.
Hashtag.
The thing is, I guess they losing to Newcastle kind of probably it definitely killed their season. But if I'm not mistaken, does that not make Edinburgh the 3rd best team now in the division?
I posted the I don't really pay much attention to it.
Yeah, it makes East Kilbride the 3rd best team in the division because they got their head-to-head against Tamworth. So, East Kilbride would have finished 5-4-1, and Tamworth finished 4-5-1,
and it would have been the reverse.
Yeah.
So okay. Again, I suppose they were fighting for pride. There was something to play for,
but there's not. It
no
wasn't
postseason. Yeah. You know, it had no postseason or relegation implications, right?
Yeah. So it was sort of like the Cambridge Cats and the Hertfordshire Cheetahs 2 weeks ago or last week. So it was one of those type of games, but a bit of pride sometimes. The first game was close, and then the second game was just...
Yeah, but I don't know. Is it...
I want to see.
It's the travel, man. Like
yeah, the travel.
Like,
yes,
I can see people not wanting to do it. Like I wouldn't. I would like. I'm there. Like I'm
get
fully
that.
committed, right? But I just am aware there are people that will find their excuses because they're like, "What's the point?"
But this
especially if you've got like I don't know, like a nagging missus, and you're like, "Oh, it's just easier to not go, man."
But
You know
this is what I feel. Maybe a 6-team, like 3 teams in each division, make it to the playoffs, and instead of this, and then you can just have the wild
card round.
You can have a wild card round where the 2 number ones just get week off, because then at least it makes the final game of the season a bit. If this game could have been a lot more interesting, my brother Jimmy could have been a lot more interesting.
Not really. My brother's called Andy.
But that's where my thoughts come into it. It's like if it's 3 teams that make it to the playoffs, 2 and 3 will play 2 and 3 from the south, and
does it really matter? Because
because it will be Manchester Titans and Warriors in the finals.
Yeah. Like we've got the semi-finals, and I would say that they're pretty much foregone. Like the highest seed's going to win them.
Wait a second. Was this game in Coventry?
What's this?
The game was in Coventry. EKP traveled down to Coventry.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'm looking at Ambatha. Tamworth are the home team. Tamworth are the home team.
Oh, yeah, shit. Forget what I said. Tamworth is shit.
That's bad.
Wow.
Yeah. See, so like
that is bad, and that makes. Do you know what? That makes the win even better for the Pirates to be able to travel that late in the season, and yeah, great win. Well done.
Wow. And then the other game in the division, no surprise, Manchester Titans 51, Edinburgh Wolves 0, and Manchester travelled up to Edinburgh.
I think that is a surprise to get.
Think so?
Again, 50 burger donut. Yeah, the Edinburgh Wolves should be putting points up at home against the Manchester Titans, in my opinion. Manchester Titans are a powerhouse, don't get me wrong. But in that fixture, I think Edinburgh should be good for at least 1 or 2 scores. And to keep Manchester under 50.
Yeah. My thing is that it feels like I think Manchester are not taking any games lightly now.
Good.
So they're ready to roll into the playoffs with a full head of steam. And again, I don't know what they've done, because obviously I don't know if the game was streamed or not, so I haven't checked it out to see if I can find anything. But it feels like they got their whole team is coming back now. Anyone that was injured, they went with a small squad too. Apparently, that makes it even worse for Edinburgh. Jesus. If that's true, then that makes it.
And Edinburgh have had a little bit of a fall this season, where like the Pirates have like overtaken them as the number 1 Scottish team or team in Scotland, or whatever you want to call it. Which was a surprise, really. But then I know there was loads of changes behind the scenes, and it's great for the Pirates. Like it's just the Wolves have sort of lost their momentum a little bit, and they're probably going to have a tough time next year.
Okay, so that's not a small squad. 50 plus isn't a small squad. And Edinburgh probably had about 26. Yeah. Okay, so it was just normal.
Not streamed, unfortunately. I think Manchester will stream their home games.
Yeah.
Newcastle stream their home games.
So hopefully that playoff game where they play Bristol will be streamed.
Oh yeah, they'll definitely stream that.
They didn't do it last year. It didn't stream last year. So they didn't know because I was going to travel up to that game, but obviously other situations happened that I couldn't go up. Right. But yeah, so they're ready to fight. Let's be honest, they're ready to go in and they want that three-peat. They want the three-peat so bad because they'll be probably the first team to do it for a very long time.
Yeah, and you shouldn't bet against them, right? Like I think they're good for it. Like
they've shown us
their dominant performance last year's final, man. Like I'll never forget it. Like it was like just crazy what they did, and I know it's going to be interesting because the Warriors have basically taken the blitz defense and created the super London team. And, it's probably they're going to present probably the biggest challenge to the Titans for the last 3 years, right?
Yes.
But it's still the Titans, and they're still riding a wave of success. And
they are. They haven't
it's
lost
going to be
game.
a good final.
They haven't lost.
I know
the
I'm
game
talking
since,
like it as though that's definitely the final, but I'm pretty certain it's going to.
We're pretty certain that's what's going to happen. It's been what they haven't lost the game.
Kieran can confirm it will be streamed. Thank you.
Oh,
Kieran.
Lovely. They haven't lost the game since 2022 against Tamworth, and since then they've been steamrolling everyone. Is the only way I can say it.
Yeah, they're awesome.
But talking about steamrolling, we're going to the Premiership South. Cambridgeshire Cats 0, London Warriors 79.
Yeah, I saw the score updates coming through while I was doing the live stream.
I just looked at the Instagram page and I just saw touchdown, tackle for a loss, touchdown. I was just like, oh Lord. Okay.
Cats had lots missing. Well, yeah, but I understand that the Warriors also had a number of players that they just rested. They were just
there was a lot of players that rested.
They didn't start D at QB, for example. I understand. So
they had two. Yeah, they had.
I don't know. Yeah, just in that's that, and I think you got to give a shout out here to the Cats. They finished 3rd in the Prem.
Yeah,
and they only lost to the top 2 teams above them. They beat everyone else twice.
Yeah.
So they ended up with a winning season at 6-4. They've had a great season.
Good season. And
there's a terrible end to it.
Yeah, that is a terrible
takes the shine off of the season a little bit. But the Cats have done awesome this season.
It is crazy. But if they can recruit well again for next season and carry on doing what they got to do, it could be interesting. Hopefully that the playoffs will probably add an extra team to the playoffs, which
their next step is
more interesting.
Take one off of Aztecs or take one off of the Warriors next year. Like that's what you want to maintain what you've done and then just incrementally
try grow. Yeah, either take the one off the Aztecs when they come to you because it was close. They almost did.
Like, split the series with one of those 2 teams, and then if you split it well enough, you might end up as the playoff.
The second team to make the next playoffs. Exactly.
Yeah, so. Yeah, for the Cats to be in that position, I think it's their 2nd season in the Premier.
Yeah, it is. It is their 2nd season. Yeah,
that's awesome. Like, it's almost as impressive as Newcastle this year.
Oh God! And then talking about the other game, well, again, not surprised by the score. Just damn, I didn't expect to. Oz was saying that Cambridge were going to get 20. I was just like, That's a tall tell. A tall ask for a team to do at the end of the season.
The Warriors' defense is just
stout. Solid. Yeah, they're absolutely on point. And this is what's going to make the semi-final game will be interesting. But we won't talk that yet. We're talking about the game that you streamed. Obviously, you said that once it hit 35 points, it just became.
Once it hit running clock, the game was dead. And the gameplay just completely changed. The ball stayed in midfield. Everyone was going for it on 4th down and not converting. I was clutching at straws trying to find stuff to say, and people were picking it up in the comments saying you should talk about the game. I was like, well, it's hard, right?
But as soon as if no one has seen it, where we are talking about Bristol Aztecs 35, London Blitz 0. Now, what for me was a bit of a shocker was that a week ago this game ended 14-0. This game ended 14. Yeah, it ended 14-0 to Aztecs.
Was it?
No, the score was 14-0 at Finsbury Park.
Yeah,
that's why this scoreline was kind of shocking to me. I was like, oh. But from what I also heard, that Blitz didn't really travel very heavy with a lot of players either themselves.
No.
Am I wrong?
They had some great players. There were some really good performances. Their opening drive was arguably their best. They did have some good one-off plays. The Bristol's defense is fast. I mentioned that. So anytime, any sort of miscommunication in terms of the QB taking looking one way and the player's not there, or taking they did one play which took too long to develop. Like the receiver came around on a jet sweep, faked a pop pass to him, and then they ran back against the way the receiver had come from on an option. So the QB's not running at full speed. He's basically got the ball in front of him looking for the pitch. Took the pitch and the guy was hit immediately because that's too long of a play to develop against this very fast defense.
Okay.
So yeah, it was like but then I felt like if you're the blitz at that point in the game, it was in the third quarter when that happened. You're starting to look deeper into your playbook. I don't think you're running out of ideas, but you're looking at trying different things. So I can understand sort of why they may have tried that play, but yeah, you can't take long to develop. You can't make any sort of like miscues. There was instances, and this is both sides, but more so definitely more noticeable for the blitz where QB had air the ball out to his intended receiver, and the receiver just wasn't where the ball ended up, and you're like, well, it looked more like the receiver didn't run the play properly, like he didn't run the right route, and yeah, so I just think it was just a little bit messy at times, but then that could be indicative of, like you say, a couple of players out, someone's playing out of position. You get to the third quarter, and now you're 2 or 3 people down in the chart, the depth chart, and you get those sort of mistakes. But yeah, the I would say the Aztecs defense took a little while to get going. They didn't get scored. They didn't get scored on, obviously, but they came very close to conceding in the first couple of drives. But yeah, good game. Oh well, I enjoyed it. But yeah, it's there's not much to garner from it. The Aztecs now go into the playoffs. I'm looking forward to seeing how they perform.
They look like they're ready
in the semis.
Yeah,
I support the Aztecs, right?
Yeah.
Like I played for them a couple of years ago. I really I love what they do. I love them. I don't think they've got enough to beat the Titans.
No, I don't think.
And that's the first year I've said it out of the last 3, right? Like I've said to you and Oz confidently, are they going to win it this year? Are they going to win it? I think they're missing a little bit. I just can't see them beat. Someone just said can't see them beat the Titans. I think they're just missing a little bit on both sides of the ball to be champions this year.
Okay,
that's my honest. I think it's possible. Like it
can be done.
Similar to the Wembley Knights thing. Like I think it's possible that either team could win. I think it's more likely that
the Titans is going to be the usual outcome. All right. So there's no games this weekend.
There's one. We've got one friendly. There's no league or playoff games this week. Well,
who is
league
it?
games are now finished with yesterday, so there's not the Prem season's over, and now we're now in all playoffs. So the next round in 2 weeks,
is the
Sundays
semi-finals.
Yesterday is semi-finals. But yeah, there's a look at someone trying to do associate up.
Yeah,
stop trying to armbar your way into our live stream. I'll ban you. But yeah, so the Vanguard are playing the Saints, so the Oxford Saints at Oxford, I believe, and we're live streaming it. So Tebs is going along. I don't know if I'm available. I might pop along as well. I'll see.
I don't know if I'm available. Actually, I'm not available. I'm away.
Just, at the moment, with it being half term, and I've got 3 kids, it's like for me, it's worth the brownie points to take it as like a day off and spend time with my kids and give my missus a break. Because the week after is the semi-final, and my missus. So we're going on a family holiday then, only to the Isle of Wight. But I was like, well, we've got to do the semi-final, and luckily it's in Rushmore, which means I don't have to travel that far. But basically, my missus is taking the kids over to the Isle of Wight in the day, and I'm joining them in the evening. So already, I need to do anything I can to sort of win brownie points, So
fair enough.
It's not half term. Did I say half term? Whatever. Same shit. My kids aren't fucking at school, and I've got to deal with it.
Oh god. But Division 2 semi-finals. We'll start off with Division 2. We will have the matchup of Sandwell Steelers versus Staffordshire Surge, and I believe they've played each other already this season.
Yeah, that's the one that they're 2-1 on the series. I think that's that one, isn't it?
Yeah, Let's find out. Oh gosh, yeah, they're both in the NFC West.
Yeah.
Yep. And Stafford and Samwell beat them the last time they played, 35-7. Interesting. And Samwell beat them. Well, Samwell's beaten them twice already, and Staffordshire's only beaten them once.
Yeah.
So it makes things interesting.
Sorry, John Wise, but I think Samwell have got this one. That's my guess.
I think Samuel will get it as well. And then the other game in the Division 2 is Essex Tridents versus Colchester Gladiators.
Again, both from the SFC2 East. It's weird that because you've got that with the Knights and the Stallions.
Yeah, everyone's playing each other. Everyone is basically playing their division for the chance to.
Is that the same in Div 1?
No.
Not the same for the North, but it is. Oh, that's crazy. So 3 out of the 4 Div 1, Div 2 semi-finals from the exact same division.
Yeah, which we haven't seen in a while. So it's very interesting.
But yeah, I'll back the Gladiators on that one.
Yeah, Gladiators. Unfortunately.
Oh, well, were you waiting for us to give you like a sound clip to play to Samwell to boost everyone up?
Oh God! Unfortunately, yeah, I'll be going with the Gladiators as well. In Division 1, we're going with the North. It's Nottingham Caesars versus Yorkshire Rams.
Yeah.
I'm going with the Caesars, obviously.
I know. Yeah, I am going to go with the Caesars, but I'm not as quick to dismiss the Rams as you are. I think the Rams will give them a game.
I'm not dismissing them. I just know what the Caesars have done all season. And
am I offering a soundbite? No, I'm not.
No, we're not. And then the other game in the Division 1 semi-finals, which we will be streaming, is Wembley Stallions at Rushmore Knights.
By the way, we'll be streaming the Samwell game too.
Yes, you are.
But yeah, I've already said it earlier in the show. I am backing the Knights.
I'm gonna back Wembley.
Of course you are.
I'm gonna back Wembley. So
I think Oz will too.
That'll be interesting. I think he might not.
I think everyone just hates the Knights.
I don't think
people have got like a visceral dislike for the Knights.
It's unfortunate that their old head coach kind of just ruined the outfit. So just unfortunate, but it is what it is. But I think the mental
Britball will heal. Britball will heal.
It will. But I think for me, it's the mental errors that I saw yesterday when they were up by three scores that I don't think that they will be able to get away with against the Stallions.
Yeah.
So I'll give it to Stallions for that one.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what Hatch and Oz say about that. Well, Hatch, if he does say anything,
he's going to say Knights.
He plays for the Knights, just to let you guys know. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, who predicts what in that final game.
And the Premiership semi-finals, we have Bristol Aztecs traveling to Manchester Titans.
It's both seed ones for me are winning.
Yeah, Titans.
Titans and Warriors. Yeah, I think we're Titans Warriors final.
And then obviously
out of the 2 games, the Aztecs are going to. I believe the Aztecs will be more challenging than Newcastle will against the Warriors. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see where you come from with that.
Yeah. But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. And obviously,
because the Warriors don't last year in their games, they do. For those wanting to see footage of the game, the Warriors do a great job of
Instagram captures. Yeah,
literally play-by-play scores, captions. So you can follow along with it. And
I will be there that weekend. I will.
You're going to be at the game,
yeah, I'll be at that game. Obviously, that game will be. That game will be London Warriors versus Newcastle Vikings. Yeah. Don't know if Newcastle Vikings will travel down with.
No, that's the weird thing.
That's the other odd thing. Because they had a big squad at the beginning of the year. If you ever forfeit a playoff game, you need to go to associate straight away.
Yeah,
like that's just a piss take. But yeah, I'll take Warriors as well. They're just strong. They're on both sides of the ball now. They got 3 quarterbacks that can move the ball, that can throw it and get it going. They got receivers that can do exactly what they need to do. looking at the score against Cambridge, again, Cambridge, it was said that they had less players, but the Warriors just looked too strong. Manchester Titans versus Warriors final, obviously.
Yeah.
I think everyone has been saying that from week one of preseason.
Yeah.
Week one of preseason, that is going to be the third round. It's going to be Rocky versus Drago. Well, no, it's not Drago. Rocky versus Mr. T. Let's see who's going to get the victory and who's going to be the real dominant team. Because back to back is wild in this.
It'd be awesome. It'd be awesome if they do it.
But if Warriors
they've got the hardest of opponents, big, like I said, the biggest challenge, the best team they've come up against
will be Warriors.
Yeah, in the last 3 years, So it's going to be a hell of a final.
And
are you actually going to the final?
Of course. Yeah. I'm going to be there both days. I'll probably try and make it for the women's one, the women's final, because last year that was fantastic. The women's final actually is the London Warriors versus Birmingham Lions again as well. And both teams have improved as well. So Warriors.
And is this 11v11?
9v9.
9v9, is it?
Yeah. So again, like last year, that play,
such a high-scoring game, wasn't it?
Insane. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to those games. I'm not discounting the Division 2 games, but it's not really something that I feel that would be exciting. Hopefully, it will be, but not expecting much.
Yeah, I haven't even decided if I'm going up to Butts Park.
You are coming up to Butts Park. Oz is coming down. Oz is coming down to Butts Park.
I don't want to, like, all these people that are commenting and stuff. They'll probably try and talk to me, and I'm like, no.
Then just don't talk to them. Exactly.
I'll be signing autographs.
But if London Warriors, obviously, we will talk about this in 2 weeks, because I don't think we should do an episode on the 26th of
next Monday.
Yeah, because no.
It's not 26.
Yeah, 26. That's bank holiday, Monday.
Because we've got another week after that. Until
and also I'll probably be absolutely hammered and drunk from Carnival. So I don't know if I'll get home weekend, yeah.
You have loads of stab wounds and you have to get out.
Lord. But again, when Warriors make it to the finals, it'll be some players that it'll be their first time making it there. So there's a lot of factors into that finals game. But again, that matchup hasn't been decided yet. So we will discuss that in a couple of weeks.
New CEO Chad was at the Bristol game. Apparently, he was at the Manchester game a week before. He was there like over an hour before kickoff. I saw he was chatting to Pete, head coach of the Aztecs.
Did you get a chance to
stay for the whole game? Watching it.
Wow. Did you get a chance to have a chat?
No. Well, so he was talking to Pete, and I interrupted their conversation. I needed some information because the kickoff was delayed.
Okay.
And so I just sort of like acknowledged him, but I didn't. And then as I was walking off, Pete went, "Oh, that's the notorious Steve Price." I just turned and like laughed, and he was like, "All right." And then but yeah, I didn't get a chance to. I wouldn't mind chatting to him, but he was always sat with someone or talking to someone.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you're live streaming, at half time you don't get a chance.
Not long enough.
So yeah, I didn't get the opportunity, but it was, my comment was more about how good is it to see someone senior at Baffa actually turning up at the games, speaking to people, sitting down watching the game. Get him on stream. I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure he'd be up for it, but yeah,
I'll have a chat with him at the finals.
Yeah, you speak about it. Yeah,
we'll obviously do our rundown afterwards.
But yeah, he's like, I've got a lot of time for that. Like that's. Oh yes, so someone said he seems like a good guy when he came to the Titans. Really interested in what we was doing. Yeah, and yeah, he was like sharing information with Pete about like how he intends to like stay closer to the membership and talking to people and sort of like having regular contact and stuff. And awesome. Cool. Like apparently he also attended the coaching convention. So I think nice. What's it been 4 or 5 weeks since then?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And every week he's done something. He did something for the women's game. He went to some tournament for that. So like, I hope he keeps it up. It might just be him, getting getting the feelers out there and just sort of understanding the sport, what happens on a Sunday, which is awesome. I don't know if he'll do it every week, but then there's no requirement for him to do it every week. It's just great that he's doing it.
But I do like that fact that he obviously does show up to a game, and he wants to be involved. So
being visible, accountable, like build your credibility. Like I think I said to you guys before, I did some work for Southern Rail as a consultant.
Yeah.
And they had this thing where it was meet the leaders, and London Victoria, which was a Southern Rail station, once a month, the senior leaders of Southern Rail would spend, I think, a morning through rush hour and just a little bit beyond on the platform with like a banner saying, meet the leaders, and they were like speaking to people. And the reason I talk about that is because one morning they did it, and it was a morning that Southern Rail had something like 2-hour delays, and they just got absolutely fucking swamped by people. But it actually helps, right? So even if people have got something negative to say and they've had a negative experience, you've got someone that's going to stand there, look you in the eye, and talk to you about stuff, and just being around it. So even if it's not to like field questions, if the guy's just there and he's riding the trains, as it were, right? Like he's actually getting involved and seeing what it's like, and that's there's a lot more to that than there has been for anyone else that's including the board for Britball for BAFA, because I've only ever seen those individuals turn up at finals to hand out medals and stuff. This guy Chad, he's for me, he's making all the right moves, and long live Chad. I'm loving what I'm seeing so far.
Oh, that's good. But yeah, that has been the rundown this week. It's been nice. The season's coming to an end. We might not have Oz back next week. We just don't know what immigration's going to do with him. So
it's between him and his lawyers now, really. I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Amir Brooks, BAFA ref, his 500th game officiating the game that we were live streaming. So that was shout. I'm going to do a post about him. I meant to do it today. I didn't do it, but since 2008, he's been
that's a long
refereeing, and he's done 500 games, which is just amazing. So shout out to him. I wanted to give him a shout out. He's getting a little bit of love in the comments now, which is awesome. But we'll do a post about it probably tomorrow. But hell of a milestone, and he's just he's a fantastic custodian for the game. Someone that's given so much of his time and effort to making sure the game's runs properly, and massive credit to him. Part time from Martin there. But, great milestone for him to hit, and we'll make a bit of a fuss about it on social media tomorrow. So if you do see the post, guys, give it a share or a like, or just say well done, Amir. That would be nice. Show him some love.
We not 100% sure, but we might do an episode next week. If not, we will do an episode next week, because there are some stuff because then we're not gonna have the episode on the bank holiday. Well, we probably won't have an episode on the bank holiday weekend. But then we'll be back the week of the final with probably an extra long episode, just to go through quite a few bits, and maybe have a guest, a guest on the show, which I'm going to try and see if we can do that. But anyway, I'm Micah.
I'm Steve.
And thank you.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Yeah.